Chapter 3. No. No way. Absolutely not. Sophie squeezed her eyes shut and shook her head from side to side, as if trying to erase the idea from the air with her nose. For the last 20 minutes, Kylie had been telling her how great cheerleading would be, but Sophie wasn't buying it. Come on, Soph. It'll be fun, Kylie pleaded. Fun? Yeah. The way total humiliation is fun, Sophie fumed. Sophie, Kylie, and Joel were sitting on the deck in Kylie's backyard. A bag of potato chips, a 2-liter bottle of soda, and a pack of cherry-flavored licorice whips sat open on the patio table in front of them. Sophie's parents hardly ever bought junk food, and normally she loved eating at Kylie's, but right now she was too angry to be hungry. I cannot believe you signed me up for cheerleading tryouts without even asking me, Kai. Do I look like a cheerleader? I mean, I can't even talk in class without blushing. She glanced at Joel and, as if to prove her point, turned beet red. Joel didn't seem to notice. But you used to go to gymnastics meets, right? He asked casually, reaching into the bag and scooping up a handful of chips. Sophie had taken gymnastics lessons all through grade school. She'd won all around second place in the last citywide meet she went to, just before she quit. She shrugged. Yeah? So? So didn't you have to compete in front of lots of people then? That was different, said Sophie, willing her cheeks to return to their normal color. All that mattered was whether I landed a back handspring or not. I was being judged on my skills, not my hair or clothes or how cool I was. It isn't all that different, argued Kylie, and anyway, you won't be in front of the entire school. The only people who see the tryouts are the coach and the 8th grade cheerleaders. Oh, only the 8th grade cheerleaders. Only the most popular girls in school. Sophie rolled her eyes. No way, Jose. Do it without me. I can't do it without you. You have to try out with a partner. That's the rule. Sophie located a stray chip on the table. She stabbed it with her thumb, breaking it into pieces. So find another partner. With a little huff, Kylie sat back in her chair. If I'd known you would freak out like this, I would have. Sophie said nothing. She continued to pulverize the potato chip. Kylie tried a different tact. Soph, remember last year when we did the school play? The year before, Kylie had gotten a small role in the school play, and she'd convinced Sophie to do backstage crew. It had been Sophie's job to make sure all the actors were in their places and to pull the rope that opened the stage curtains. She remembered the tingly feeling of excitement she'd had standing in the wings with everyone just before they went on. In fact, most of the exciting things Sophie had ever done had been Kylie's idea. When Kylie ran for class president in 5th grade, she'd made Sophie her campaign manager. It had even been Kylie's idea, back in 1st grade, to take gymnastics classes together. Kylie had quit after only a month, bored by the endless exercises. It was Sophie who'd gone on to become a gymnast. But all that was different, Sophie reminded herself. Controlling the curtains backstage was not the same as cheerleading. Sophie, I could never have gone on stage every night if I hadn't known you were there watching. Kylie told her now. "And I can't imagine doing this without you either. It just wouldn't be as fun. So, will you do it? Please? I'll be your best friend." Sophie swept the chip crumbs off the table and into her open palm. Then she leaned over the edge of the deck and tossed them onto the grass. She thought about how she always went along with Kylie's ideas. Kylie watched her, waiting for an answer. "No," Sophie said at last. Kylie's face tightened. She scraped her chair back and stood up. Without a word, she marched into the house, sliding the screen door shut behind her with a bang. A moment later, Sophie heard the television come on in the Levetts' living room. "I think you should do it," Joel said suddenly. Sophie looked over at him in surprise. "What?" "I think you should try out." "Why?" She'd assumed that Joel thought the tryouts were a bad idea too. "I'd be the worst cheerleader ever. I'd probably make the crowd want to cheer for the other team." "No, you wouldn't," Joel said. "You'd be good at the cartwheels and handsprings and stuff. Besides, Kylie isn't asking you to be a cheerleader. She just wants you to be her partner for the tryouts." "But I thought you thought cheerleading was lame. You just said Keisha Reyes is a big snob." "I said Keisha Reyes is a big snob," Joel replied. "That doesn't necessarily mean I think cheerleading is lame. Look, if you don't make the team, it's no big deal. After a week, no one will even remember that you tried out. And if you do make it, well, you'll be with Kylie, just like she said. Kylie only wants to be a cheerleader so she can hang out around Scott Hirsch all the time," Sophie blurted. Joel studied her for a second. "I don't see what's wrong with wanting to hang out with someone you like," he said softly. Sophie chewed her lip. She felt outnumbered. It was 2 against 1 in favor of Sophie Smith trying out for cheerleader. Or make that cheerloser. "All right," she said with a sigh. "I'll think about it." "Sophie, you have to smile," Kylie exclaimed. "You look like you are directing air traffic, not rooting for a touchdown." Sophie stopped mid-cheer and dropped her arms. "I was smiling," she snapped. "Wasn't I?" "Not unless you call this smiling." Kylie grimaced as if she'd stubbed her toe. It was Saturday afternoon. The girls were in Kylie's backyard, practicing their routine for the cheerleading tryouts. Every day after school that week, Sophie and Kylie had gone to training sessions held by the 8th grade cheerleaders. All the girls who wanted to try out were supposed to pick one cheer and develop a routine with a partner. Tryouts would be the following Monday after school. With a groan, Sophie flopped down on the grass and covered her face with her arms. "I'm no good at this," she said. "I'm going to totally humiliate myself." "No, you are not," Kylie replied. She marched over, grabbed Sophie's hand, and pulled her back onto her feet. "Now, try it again, from the top." Kylie sat at the edge of the deck, and Sophie stood on the lawn, facing her. "Ready? Okay," she shouted. "We are the mules. We can't be beat, so clap your hands and stomp your feet." She began to go through the routine, lifting her knees, bending her arms into stiff, precise shapes. Sophie actually liked the movements. They reminded her a little of the dance steps in a gymnastics tumbling routine. "We are the mules. We make the rules. We trample all those other schools. Bigger smile, Kylie called out. It was the smiling that Sophie found hard. She felt like a big dumb Barbie doll with a phony smile plastered across her face. She stretched her lips wider to show she was trying. Now you look like a dog that's about to bite someone, Kylie told her. Sophie stopped cheering and glared. I feel like I want to bite someone, she said meaningfully. Okay. Kylie stood up. You take a break. I'll practice, and you can give me pointers. Be brutal. I can take it. The girls traded places. Ready? Okay, Kylie shouted. She started to move through the cheer. Watching her, Sophie thought it looked like a completely different routine. When Sophie tried to be precise and angular, Kylie looked like she was made of rubber. Her kicks wobbled, her curls bounced, her arms flapped like wet spaghetti. But Sophie had to hand it to her. Kylie's smile was perfect. From her expression, you'd think she'd never had more fun in her life. By the time she'd finished, Kylie was panting. What did you think? She asked between breaths. You need to keep your legs straighter on your kicks, Sophie advised. But otherwise, you looked really good. Kylie plopped down in the grass beside her friend. I was thinking, we need to have a big ending. Something that will make the judges be all like, wow. Like what? Sophie asked. Well, you could do some gymnastics trick, Kylie suggested. An aerial cartwheel, maybe? Or even a back handspring. Sophie frowned. I don't know. They didn't say anything about tumbling at the practices. It seems kind of show-offy. Kylie rolled her eyes. Duh, Sophie. Cheerleading is show-offy. That's the point. To show off your cool moves and get the crowd psyched. Well, Sophie plucked a handful of grass from the lawn. What would you do? I could do a cartwheel or something. If we are both doing it at the same time, it won't really matter. Can you even do a cartwheel? Asked Sophie. Sure. Show me. Kylie got up from the lawn. Raising her arms over her head, she took a step as if she was about to cartwheel. But at the last second, she pulled back. She took another step and folded again. On the count of 3, said Sophie. 1, 2, 3. Kylie placed both hands on the ground and kicked her legs in the air. She looks like a donkey trying to buck something off its back, Sophie thought, or a cat falling head first out of a tree. One thing was certain. It was no cartwheel. Kylie righted herself. I know. Not perfect. But you can coach me, right? Sophie sighed. It wouldn't be easy to teach Kylie how to do a cartwheel in a day and a half. But she could see that her friend had made up her mind. And if they were going to do stunts at the end of the routine, Sophie thought, they ought to look good. Better than good. They ought to look perfect. She stood and brushed off the back of her shorts. Okay, she said, positioning herself next to Kylie. This is how you start.